Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fridays with the Chakontas. I am Mr. Chakonta.
And I'm Mrs. Chakonta.
And yeah, we're continuing our review on blue therapy in love or toxic.
Yes.
And
toxic.
Yeah. And we are on our final episode, right?
Yes. I didn't realize this was the last one until the end. I was like, we're done. I think we're done anyway.
Yeah, we are done.
Okay.
Done. I think so.
That was quick.
Yeah, if we, based on what we saw from the one which was being shown in the first season, I would probably say the first season was what, 4 episodes or
really?
5? Yeah, it wasn't that much.
Oh wow, I didn't realize. I feel like there was a lot more juice and drama in the first
but you know,
season.
Keeping it short also makes it it makes
short and sweet, doesn't drag it on.
Yeah, and I think
there's no point.
Builds a lot of conversation and they see how they
that's
can
true.
improve it. I think it's like taking a social media one from YouTube and now taking it to mainstream.
Yeah.
So I think maybe they were trying to experiment and see how it's going to play out. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's true.
But I'm glad they were back.
Yes.
Because it was interesting.
Definitely.
And we
dynamic.
We watched it. As we say, we're not endorsing it. We're just basically trying to review it from as we consume it. We're also trying to do it with an aspect of having what's the word I always say? Discerning eyes.
Yes.
So do it with discerning eyes and not just be consumers. And I think this is all we have to do all these things whenever we are, especially in the public spaces and trying to navigate whatever is being portrayed out there. We have to look at it from a biblical lens and see how we can challenge whatever the culture is trying to feed us. So yes, anything else you want to add?
No. I think what you said is what we say.
Okay, so yeah, we'll start with where do we start now?
Oh, who should we start with? Either we start with Tunde and Marie, Let's Make It Hot, or Lucky and Anna. You can pick. I've given you 2 options.
We can start with Lucky and Anna.
Okay.
So what do you think about them?
So in this episode, Lucky and Anna come back.
Yeah.
And I think in the last episode, we were left with the impression that Lucky had also done something that had shaken up the relationship. Yeah. So in this episode, we come to find out that at the beginning of the relationship, when Lucky found out that Anna had kissed her ex, he went on Hinge, met a girl, and then it transpired that he had sex with her. They slept together.
Yeah.
But Anna knew about this, isn't it?
No, I don't think.
Because I don't think Anna. This is not the first time that Anna has found out about it.
Yeah.
So it seems like because remember last time when it ended, when the show ended, she was like, and Lucky has something to say. Yeah. And then I think so that's what they're dealing with right now is them, having, someone's done something and then as a form of revenge, someone else does something else. Yeah. And I know you had quite a bit to say about that. I know you've asked me, but I want to throw it back to you. What are your thoughts?
What did I ask? Maybe you can refresh my mind.
Because I think he went, what did he say? Oh, I can't remember. And I think he said something about, no, I don't think it was when the ship sails. He said something else.
Something about, are we going to basically let the ship, when the ship is sinking, are we basically just going to just let it sink? Or we're
going to jump onto another ship? And she was like, it's not that easy to just get onto another ship. But that's not, there was something else that you said before that in during their conversation. But I don't know why it's left I should have written it down.
Was it about Lucky's attitude or what?
No, maybe I'm mixing it up. But anyway, what are your thoughts? It will come back to me.
Okay, so I don't know. I don't know how to start with that with them. I think,
you said the way mature, something like that. Yeah. Anyway. Mm-hmm.
Yes, I think the vibe that Anna gives is very immature. She just she does things out of impulse, and then with that, she now tries to justify it.
She said that. She said, she actually said that. She said, I'm impulsive.
Yeah.
Like it makes it like she was being happy about it. I mean, there's
Yeah.
certain situations where it's okay,
Yeah.
but in that situation, it was not okay to be impulsive.
Yes. And I think she does things that she doesn't really think about how it's going to affect their significant other.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes how the things she does drives the person she's with into a way that person now reacts in similarly.
Yeah, because I mean that is what happened, because Lucky was saying I did it because she kept on saying, "Oh, you've done this, and he was like, "Well, I might as well do it, and then I'll apologize for it later."
Yeah,
and I think we got to see a different side of Lucky, because
Yes.
the whole time I feel like I've been favoring him and saying all these things about Anna.
Yeah.
But actually, when Lucky said that, I thought, okay, yeah, that is quite immature way of thinking, saying,
Yeah.
well, I might as well cheat on you because you're accusing me of cheating. And I understand how hurtful that must be.
Yeah.
Somebody's accusing you of doing something that you have not done.
Mm-hmm.
But that also shows your character as a person. If you then decide I'm going to go cheat on you and then I'll apologize later. It's like, what kind of game are you guys playing?
I understand where you're coming from, but I think it's also very disheartening, and I think the temptation comes. So, but temptation does not mean that now you fall into it and do that, because we'll all be tempted to do something. And I think people who are not looking at it from a biblical perspective, they can easily, even people who are, let's say, Christians, we know that they will fall into temptation.
Mm-hmm.
There's always grace in the aspect of forgiveness. We understand all those things if somebody's remorseful.
Yeah.
But when you're now doing certain things in a relationship, it can break a lot of trust that has been built throughout the years. And especially when you're having relationships where you are committing, and these commitments that are either long-term.
Yeah.
These are commitments until death separates you, because that's the only way we can have this conversation.
Yeah,
it's through the lens of saying that you're making commitments with the view of it, not eternity, until death until death separates you. And with that means there's a level of vulnerability that you're giving, and with that vulnerability means there comes a level of where you have to be insecure with certain other aspects. So when somebody does something like that, it now becomes a level of you feel like that person doesn't trust you, especially when they're saying, "Oh, you've done this," and you definitely know you haven't done it. And then now you're feeling a level of like, what's the point? She already has labeled me, or he has already labeled me this. And then you just like, then the temptation now starts to come.
Yeah.
And I think this is where like now the devil sees that one person is not trusting, and the devil is now saying, she doesn't even trust you. Look. And I think it takes us back to the story of the garden, where like, I feel like there was something about Adam and Eve. They were just questioning and saying, did God really say A, B, C, D? And with that question in their mind, the devil was able to now say, what did God really say? To the point of where they were deceived. And they thought, oh, this is something that God is actually not doing this for our good. He's just trying to keep us away from us seeing something, a revelation that is hiding from us. Yeah. We want to know what's the difference between good and evil. We don't want to be in our innocence. And because of that, the temptation of the fruit becomes enlightening. And because now we want to see, I want to see what God knows between good and evil. In the same way, in a relationship, when somebody's saying something, it builds an aspect of somebody doesn't trust me.
Yeah.
And because that person does not trust me, I might as well go and do it. And I think that's not the right response for us to jump into, especially when you're in a relationship. There's a level of what we need to have these conversations and say, look, those things that you're saying about me are making me feel a certain way. And I don't think this thing is helpful for our relationship.
Yeah.
Because whenever you say certain things, I'm not doing this. And even let's say, for example, you've done it in the past. I don't feel like it's fair for me to be labeled that, especially if I've made all the progress. I've done something in 5 years and then you're still calling me that. And I think because one person hasn't healed on that side, and they're basically labeling you. Let's say, for example, if somebody was unfaithful in a relationship,
Yeah.
and then they've gotten past it, but then the other person is basically always saying, "That's why you're always this, you're always that," and it becomes, "I messed up, but we moved past it. Am I always going to be judged by that?"
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like even though you found forgiveness, especially from God, even probably in the context of the church, you've gone through church discipline and everything, but the person you're with is always bringing it up, and it becomes a level of, how can everybody forgive me but you?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you find now it now brings you in a place of vulnerability. And that vulnerability now takes you to a point of now temptation keeps knocking on your door. But the other thing is, when temptation is knocking on your door, it doesn't mean you have to answer. In the same way we see in the story with Cain and Abel, temptation was knocking on who got killed?
Yeah, that
Cain or
challenging me.
Abel.
I think Cain killed Abel.
Yeah, Cain.
Wait, there's a joke. I think that helps me remember. Where did God because he wasn't able, something like that. Anyway, I can't remember the joke, but I think Cain killed Abel.
I think it's Cain, yeah, too. I was just testing you.
Oh, you're just testing me. Okay.
So yeah, the story about Cain and Abel, it's you see that, yeah, God actually warns him and said, look, the way you feel about your brother, there's a level of the jealousy is actually knocking on your heart, and you have to basically, the temptation of you wanting to do something is something that you need to put in check, or else you're going to do something. And because of that jealousy, he ended up murdering his brother and did something that was unacceptable in God's eyes.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing now with Lucky and Anna. Anna is been pushing too much, and Lucky basically says, I might as well. And I think his answer shows also his attitude. Look, I might as well just do it and then apologize later. Which is, I don't think that's, to be honest, that's just
it's the problem.
Yeah, it's a problem. And it's a big problem.
It's a big problem.
Because you're basically saying, you know what, I might as well just do it and then we'll discuss
because I feel like that shows your character, like I said before, because if you're the type of person who thinks this is not correct, it's not because of that person that you're not going to do it. That means there's been something. But I get what you're saying. I completely agree with what you're saying. But I do feel like this showed us a bit more of Lucky, even when he was like, if she doesn't want to go, like, you can start a new, if she doesn't want to continue this relationship, you can start another relationship, basically. Like, it doesn't take that long to start a new relationship. But I think I quite liked that in some way. I know it's very pompous, but I quite liked that because I felt like somehow I was like, okay, what is happening, Lucky? Like, what is there in this relationship that you're getting? Like, what are you like? Are you valuing yourself? Yeah. But then obviously that's, don't overvalue yourself, but sometimes we do stay in relationships because we feel like this is the best I'm gonna get, or or whatever, for multiple reasons. But for him to say, well, it actually doesn't take that long to get into another relationship, but it all depends what type of relationship he meant. It wasn't a nice comment, and I would not have liked to hear that from my partner. Yeah. But I think he showed a bit of oomph, like he knew himself. But I was shocked at the ending, in the sense that it was Anna who ended the relationship. I was shocked at that because I feel like she ended this relationship and she's left without a level of self-awareness. Yeah. I genuinely feel like she doesn't really see herself. Yeah. She doesn't see like what she did. When the tables were turned, I mean, she must have obviously forgiven Lucky because she found out about him and the other girl, but when the tables were turned and they had the opportunity to leave, she was like, yeah, I'm going. I'm like, I mean, if Lucky hadn't done that, I don't know, would she have stayed or not? I don't know. But I was just like, I feel like maybe Lucky, I don't know, has gotten something, you want to learn something when you leave a relationship and be like, okay, I'm a bit like this person was like this is why it worked, this is why it didn't work. But I genuinely don't feel like Anna has left more self-aware or thinking, okay, I did play a huge part in this not working.
Yeah.
Because she was defending herself a lot, even when she was like, oh, I know I didn't tell the truth, but it's all out in the open kind of thing. Now I've told the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, you should have said it at the beginning. Like, it doesn't make it better that you've now said it because you've said it.
Yeah.
Like, you're missing the point. The point is you were dishonest and you've been together for a long time now and you've had plenty of opportunities to say something. I feel like if the opportunity presented itself again, there's a chance she might lie.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. And I like what the therapist said at the end. He basically, when Lucky went back by himself, because Anna walked away.
Oh, yes.
So he basically said, so what's your decision now? Are you going to continue or are you going to move on? But he says, look, if you're going to continue, you'll be 10 times better.
Yeah.
And if you're going to leave, at least you can go into the next relationship saying, I've learned something where I can be 10 times better in the next relationship.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the therapist is really good because you see some of his mannerisms. You're like, he's trying to really keep it cool.
Yeah. I feel like, he must have a moment to offload and be like, oh my goodness. I feel like therapists, I was reading somewhere it says, I think therapists need therapy, but I get it now. I'm like, yeah. They also need therapy because that is a lot to be handling. And you're there like holding all these feelings because you do feel something. You're a human being.
Yeah.
And I could see that he did used to favor Lucky, but when he found out about what Lucky did, I don't think he was impressed. He wasn't happy. I feel like I could see it in his facial expression. He was just like, yeah.
But it's good that he was impartial. He doesn't bring his own thoughts. He basically addresses the situation.
Yes.
And like we were saying, like when somebody's a mediator, the best thing to do is address the situation than the person.
But I do feel like he was being a bit clever though. I don't know if you noticed.
But you have to.
There's times where that's my personal opinion. There are times where I felt like, not just with Lucky and Anna, but throughout, he had something that he wanted to impart, but he would use a question. So he would ask you a general question to answer, knowing exactly what he's trying to get you to think, because he's like, this is what I'm trying to tell you, that you're behaving in this particular way, but I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to ask it to you as a question so you can think about it.
Yeah. And I think by doing that, it feels like you're not attacking the person.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think this is maybe another side where, like, if somebody's a mediator, especially doesn't mean if you're in a therapy session, even just like somebody in between two people in a relationship, address the situation.
Yeah, don't take sides.
Because when you're addressing the person, people will just feel attacked.
Yeah, and we're already heightened, isn't it, in that situation? You just don't want... And the thing is, even when you're wrong, you want people to be on your side. We always want people to be on our side as human beings. So I agree with you. I think when you're ever presented with an opportunity to be a mediator, it's nice to make a conscious decision to be like, I am going to be in between.
Yeah.
I am going to be neutral.
Yeah.
What am I saying? Is it going to be... Are both of them going to receive it well? Is it going to upset one person? Because once one person's upset and shut down, it can just ruin the whole thing.
It's very hard, yeah. Anything else you want to add on them?
No, I think that's enough. Yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, that's enough.
Yeah.
I don't know if you wanted to address the ending part, but that is it.
Yeah,
that is the end.
Yeah, we'll talk about the ending parts later, yeah.
All right. So, might as well get to Tunde and Marie. I mean, there wasn't much that happened in the session because we've been building up to it.
Yeah, it's like, So
in this episode, Tunde, well, it started off really well. Marie was literally like on cloud 9. She was like happy.
She was hopeful.
Yeah, she was happy. Mm-hmm. It's the first time we've seen her proper happy and girly and all lovey-dovey and touchy.
Yeah.
But then, Tunde couldn't hold it anymore. He was just like, I have to tell you something. And he then breaks down the news that he has a 4th child, and it happened during the time that they were on a break.
Yeah.
And Marie, it's funny. It's a bit like you do see. Remember, we made the comment on the acting. It was like she started too early. But yeah, she then breaks down and cries. But yeah, and then
she wasn't crying. She was sobbing.
Yeah, she was sobbing. Hey, I mean, like, I remember I was like, because you were like, she is really sobbing. I'm like, yeah, babe, what do you expect? I'm just thinking, for me, I definitely would. I think I wouldn't have sobbed yet. I think I would have still been in shock.
Yeah.
I think my mind would have just been, I think it would have taken me. And then when I go home, then I would have sobbed.
Yeah.
Because I think when I cry, sometimes I'm like, like lie. And then sometimes you got to let the tears out, like the proper way where you're even making noise and everybody knows you're crying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
She deserved to lay it out.
So she did lay it out. And then she's just like, yeah, to be honest, I don't know why she cried so much, but I get to understand more. Because I think this was something that has been a challenge for their relationship. Him having children.
She said that was a deal. If he added any more, like that was their plan. Like the plan was, this is it.
Yeah. But I think there's also another thing we need to understand about, because their relationship is very complex in the sense of the lack of commitment brings a level of, I think, behavior that I think is very unacceptable. Because we're not committed, that means I can do A, B, C, D. And I think this is a culture that we live in, a non-committal culture, and a culture that's always about it's like you want to have as much as you can. And it's like when somebody's on a break, I don't know even what a break is, because break is not a break and let's address it or something like that. A break, it means in a relationship, sometimes it means that we've just broken up and it's a pass to do whatever we want to do.
Yeah.
That's what some people think. And I think a break is not really defined. So some people feel like a break is, why are we going on a break? Or maybe if we're on separation, if you're in a marriage and you're in separation, you're still married.
Yeah.
And I think people need to take that seriously, that look, we're on separation and we're trying our best to either mend this or decide to
But they may have broken up and then they decide to get back together.
But that's what I'm saying. The context that we are talking about is a context that is a very dangerous context. And I think because people stay in those contexts, they feel like it's a norm. And because of that, it has now brought a lot of challenges in our world.
I agree with you. I think it seems it's a big problem. I mean, they've been together on and off for 10 years. Yeah. And in those 10 years, this guy has managed to produce seed 4 times.
Yeah.
Like that's a problem.
Yeah. And I think that's what he was saying in the end. He's like, look, after all what we've done, basically, so is the 10 years a waste? Yes, it is a waste, because there's never, I think from Marie's side, she just feels, I can't trust you.
No, and the funny thing is, if you go back to the beginning, he just said he wouldn't be with a girl with kids. Yeah, now he just added another one.
I know.
And then he expected that he'll bring flowers and it'll be okay.
And I think that's the hypocrisy from Tunde, because Tunde is basically somebody who feels that his problems should be acceptable and Marie's problems should be something that he cannot accept. And with that, it becomes a very selfish side of a relationship.
Yeah, it's just like, this guy is not committed to you, girl.
I know. And even though we know Marie has got her problems, which are very evident, but in this sense, Tunde looks more like the bad person.
Yeah.
Because his problems come out in a very, how can I say this? His problems are kids.
His problems are kids.
His problems are things that you can't really...
Permanent.
Permanent. That's the word, yes. His problems are permanent problems.
Like, there's nothing you can do about that. We have children now. Now Marie is a mother of 4. Like, it is what it is. We now have to learn how to live with the fact that I'm going to be a mother to 4 kids.
Yes, and with those things, there has to be a level of mindset, fortitude, and then a level of understanding that this is now going to be your lifestyle if you're going to change, if you're going to pursue that relationship.
And now he's got another baby. She ain't getting any of that 15 grand that she wanted for the holiday. He's got more expenses now.
I know. And I think maybe that's what on the other side of Marie. Maybe Marie is saying like, look, I really want an X amount of money, but this man has already told me that his kids are his priority. So I'm never going to find that.
He's not going to marry me.
And I think she's also going to insecurities that she has of saying, what's the difference between me and any of your baby moms? Because
She's a trophy.
No, but she's saying, look, your baby moms have got babies, and those are your first priority. I don't have a baby with you.
Yeah, at least give me a ring.
At least give me something
I can hold on to show your commitment.
And I think this is the side of where I think women always need to understand what your value is. Because I just don't understand why women will be looking for a guy like that. What is about that guy that
he cute, he treats me well, who takes me out?
That's not.
Not all guys have the amount of money that Tunde has.
That's not treating you
so she has to. Well, that's. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But that's what she's seeing. Taking me to 5-star restaurants. Drive. Picking me up in his BMW 2023. Like, look at the way he dresses. He understands when I wear Chanel. He understands what I'm wearing. Like, the thing is, when you. I don't know if what I'm about. No, it's true, because it depends. Like, no matter whatever category or whatever type of guy you want, you're not gonna find. Not all men are like that.
Yeah.
So everybody is in different categories.
Yeah.
So it all depends on what you want. So for what she wants, she might find that she has to compromise. So the guy that she wants, who wants to marry her, may be on half the salary that Tunde is on.
Yeah.
So she now has to decide, what do I want? And then the guy the footballer she wanted, maybe he didn't have something that Tunde has.
Yeah.
So now she's like, okay, he had all the money, but he didn't have this.
Mm-hmm.
There was no love there. I just like the luxury. I don't know. I'm just assuming.
Yeah.
So there's different levels there's different categories for men. So and women. It's, you got to decide what you want and what's the priority.
But
so I think she made it clear
naive?
I feel like, oh yeah, and can be a bit. It depends. But no, definitely no. I think. Well, I wouldn't say naive. I think that you need to be very. I think you need to be very clear with yourself what your priorities are, and rate your priorities. Like, you can't say my priority is both money and I don't know, but you have to rate your priorities. So because for example, like us, yeah, when because we talk about it from a Christian point of view. So number one priority is he's a Christian, and you have to dig into that. Like, some people just say because he's a Christian, that's fine. No, he's a Christian, so he's ticked one box. But not all Christian men are. I know my husband is gonna disagree, but I don't think not all Christian men are for you.
What do you mean?
As in, you're not compatible with everybody. Just I know you're gonna disagree, and we'll talk about it another. Well, later, if you want, you can expand on it.
Yeah, I agree.
But he's a Christian, so he's ticked the first priority.
Yeah.
And you, in that category, you need to go deeper. Like, is it just saying I'm a Christian because I go to church? Is it just saying I'm a Christian because he was baptized? What does that mean? You go deeper and you understand, where is he at? Then you go to the second level. What is a priority for you? So I feel like you've got to have levels of, I don't know if I'm making sense. I feel like I'm going everywhere now.
Yeah, I understand.
I'm making sense. So you got to, like, how we say, women have a checklist. Like, have your checklist and let it be. I think it's cool because I had a checklist for you. Like, have your checklist and let it be clear what's number 1, 2, 3, or 4. So that when you now find a guy who has a job, or who doesn't have, or, who has a job, you're now thinking, oh, but he has to earn between 50 to 100,000. But now you find a guy who is a Christian, picked 1. Number 2 has a job who makes 50 to 100,000. Although that's very questionable. Anyway, I'm just giving an example. But then now you meet a guy who makes 250,000, but then he's not a Christian. But he has not met the first priority. Yeah. So now you start to compromise, and it just all gets confusing.
Yeah, that's true. And I think it's about priorities. But I think even the list sometimes, the list can be very dangerous. Because I think this is another thing where I think ladies, you need to, I'm not saying don't make your lists, but challenge your lists and see if they're biblical lists.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Because the problem is that
that's very true.
Sometimes you ladies have,
because then you start putting 50 to 60,000, like, so there's a value to the job that the guy is supposed to have. Like, that's not biblical. And
I think that's why, like, sometimes, like, maybe you ladies, you're very picky.
Yeah, he's short, he's tall, he's dark.
And I'm saying all those things, those things are, they're not central things.
They're not central things, but I think being attracted to him is central.
But I think
so if you don't find guys who are shorter than you attractive, that's hard.
But no, that's a question.
But that shouldn't be but if, do you get what I mean? Because there needs to be a level of physical attraction.
I agree with what you're saying, but let me just finish my point here. I'm just trying to say that but what attracts you first? Shouldn't his godliness be the thing that attracts you more than anything else?
Well, I agree, but I mean, when I met you, I didn't know you were a Christian. I just thought you were cute, innit?
No, but
so then I had to figure out who is this cute guy.
Yeah.
So then when I found out that you were a Christian, then it was like bing, 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 bing. Do you get what I mean? The same thing.
But are you giving yourself as a reference?
Yeah, I'm saying me.
No, but I'm saying, but you think you're the best reference?
No.
We're trying to say, even I'm not the best reference of how to do something.
No, but the thing is,
yeah.
I think, okay, I agree with what you're saying. I think there's standard, but then I think we shouldn't take away the fact that there is an element of attraction.
Yeah.
So I do agree. I feel like his godliness should be the key component.
Yeah.
But
I agree with you.
I don't know if
I know what you're trying to say.
I feel like I'm losing myself.
I know what you're trying to say. You know what? Realistically, it's not that way. We agree. There's a realistic aspect of where we say there's a thing about attraction that
I see.
Yeah, we don't, as much as we want to say the godliness aspect, that should be the most important thing.
That's true.
I think
I agree with you, because even the Bible, that is easy to even give examples.
Yeah.
Nobody was seeing anybody's face before they got married. They were veiled. Not all the time where people, it was like, this is your wife.
Yeah.
Done deal. And they were together for years.
Yeah.
There was no, she needs to, I want to see her curves. I want to see this. No, there was nothing like that. The man, they've literally come and picked you up and said you're going to get married, and you go and find that's your husband. And then she looked and you're like, oh, that's my husband. And you've gotten up and gone. So I agree with you.
And it's about like the issue about what's like godliness and character.
Yeah,
because when we look at the issue about when Isaac was finding a wife, they said the master, the servant who went to look for the wife for Isaac, said the woman who's going to draw water for me, as well as also draw water for the camels that I've come with, is the one I'm basically going to engage and go and ask for my master to what's the word? To
get married, hand in marriage, or I get you.
Basically, is the one who I think will be suitable for my master.
I agree with you, but I think that also brings us somewhere.
Where?
God's intervention.
Yeah, and that's true.
Because sometimes we be seeing things ourselves and be catching things ourselves and be picking men and women ourselves.
Yeah.
And we leave God out.
Yeah.
You clearly see that it's a no. Yeah. But just because he's cute, how he makes you feel, how she makes you feel, that you don't even hear the voice of God in the guidance.
Yeah, and that's true. And I think that's the challenge that we have to always be prayerful about. And I think with the context of Tunde, are we still on Tunde Marie?
Sorry, we left. Yeah, Tunde Marie.
Yeah, with Tunde Marie, that's the challenge I think they're having, because what is she seeing in him that is of value? Because this man is very
what is
arrogant.
The value? Yeah.
He wants certain things his way.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's what Marie's got on challenges.
Also, what does he see in her that is of value?
What does he see in her? It's like, look, if you are ready to have maybe he just wants her to have his baby. Because I think
no, he said no. Remember, he said I don't want a woman who's going to be carrying is it kangaroo pouch?
No, but he doesn't want somebody he doesn't want to go to somebody who's having a kangaroo.
Yeah, so
pouch.
he just wants her as the purse.
No. Do you know what he says? He's saying he doesn't want somebody. If somebody has a child,
yes,
he doesn't want that.
Yes.
So basically, he
doesn't want her to carry his child.
No. If he's looking for somebody, if he's single, and somebody who comes and says she's got a child, that's out of the question. No,
but remember at the beginning, he also talked about how he likes Marie because she's sexy, she's cute, and she, her body and everything.
Yeah.
And then he was talking about, the kangaroo pouches. After you've given birth, your body changes. Your tummy is not as intact and everything. Don't you remember?
I agree with what you're saying, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, but I think maybe what I'm trying to say here is that I don't know what he wants from her.
Oh, okay, I get you.
Is it that he wants to give her a baby and then puts her on the side, or because it seems as if he's having a lot of uh, women who have his babies.
I know you're trying to find the right words to say.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of women who have his babies.
They're just yeah.
Yeah, and for him, he's just taking them out of the picture.
It's just a problem.
And
there.
if any guys who are thinking like him, they won't even look at them. I think there's some guys, who feel entitled. When somebody actually has your baby, they feel like
that's mine.
That's mine, basically. It's like, because we have a baby, they feel like having a baby is commitment.
Yeah.
To the point of where, like, if somebody, like, let's say, has interest in that girl, she's like, no. Especially, like, maybe one of your friends or somebody who they feel like it's disrespectful. But I'm just like, I don't understand it.
Yeah, I get you.
If you're not going to be committed to that person, if that person can give you a child, why can't you be committed to that person? And if you're not showing that commitment and somebody wants to show them commitment and then you get annoyed, it doesn't mean that because she's got your baby, that means that there's a level of commitment that she needs to now have to you and loyalty to you. Having a baby does not mean that that is commitment. And I think people need to always really consider that, especially when you're looking at it from a biblical perspective and saying that, look, these are things that we need to be considering, especially when we are getting into relationships. Let's evaluate those things and then see how God leads us so that we can make the right decisions. Because we see this cycle of Marie and what's the name?
Tunde.
And Tunde. We are basically saying that it's just not working. And we see how Marie is now hurt. And now we see this is the second relationship which is not working out. Therapy hasn't helped. We've seen Lucky and Anna hasn't worked out, and now also Tunde and Marie. Yeah. Is there anything you want to add on them?
No, I think that's it. Really, we've explored a lot around their topic.
Yeah.
We can go to Tang and Temi, and I think that's about it actually, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Well, not done, Sean, but then we'll review everyone together.
Sean and
Ray.
They're not in this.
Yeah, they haven't given us only the summary of what happened 2 months later, but they haven't given us much.
Yeah. So Tang and what do you want to say?
Tang
about
and
that?
Temi. Yeah. So I'll set the scenario and then you can tell us what you think. So Tang and Temi have another conversation again.
Yeah.
About I think they got quite serious actually about Temi, expressing herself how she feels that he's not serious about their marriage, and he's continuously brushes the topic off or continuously doesn't want to discuss things around the marriage. But the therapist asked a really good question, because remember, I think I've even spoken about it last episode. I said, she asked, she was like, so why did you engage? She asked Tang, why did you engage Temi? Yeah. And he chuckled a little bit and he was like, there was a part of me that couldn't keep hearing this, like having this in my ear, like basically her pushing for marriage. And then later on, she just basically said it. She was like, so you basically wanted to shut me up. Yeah. And kind of that is what he was trying to say. It's like, I engaged you to shut you up because you just kept on talking and talking about it. Yeah. And that was quite a lot. Yeah. But I don't think he really understood the depth of what he was saying as well. But I think it was also nice because he was being truthful, because it makes sense. Because I asked, I'm like, why did you engage her? Because you engage with a view to get married. How do you just engage and say, at some point I'll marry you? Yeah. Like, that's just putting a deposit without, you go to buy something and you say, I'll put 50% and I don't know when I'm going to finish the rest, but can I keep it? It's like, no. Yeah. That's not what you do. That's you haven't really engaged really. You're just trying to say you can come off the market, but I'm not really going to purchase, I'm just using a loose analogy. But at the same time, I can understand why he would do that, because if she's constantly nagging him about it, but then I actually also understand her part, because it's like, if he has not given a clear indication as to when he intends to marry her. It's always very loose, or when the wedding is going to be. She's going to keep bringing it up. But rather, if he just has one serious conversation, which I think she's really been asking for, and make it clear. I don't worry. But he has made it clear in the sense of saying, I don't know when, but your actions by giving her the ring are not helping. But then they went and had a deep kind of conversation, because I think Tang might have lost his mother a while. We don't know when, but he talks about how he felt that, we get to know that this is, he's been married before. And then he talks about how it would be difficult to get married again without his mother being present, and how he had a really good relationship with her.
Yeah.
And he was very tearful.
Yeah.
And Temi, you mentioned that Temi wasn't being very sympathetic. She jumped on to say she feels that he uses that as an excuse every time.
Yeah.
So yeah, what are your thoughts? I've kind of given a bit of a summary and a bit of my input.
Yeah, just on the other thing where you're talking about why would he ask her to get married? Like in scripture where it says that in Luke 14, where it says that who plans to build a new house without sitting down to figure out the cost and know if it's going to be completed. So it's basically trying to say, like, how would somebody start building something without actually planning for
that's
it?
a good,
and I
good,
think
good,
that's the
good
same
point,
thing
babe.
about also engagement. Engagement should come to an end at a certain point, not engagement without any direction.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I wanted just to add to what you're saying. So when he said that he just wanted to just keep her quiet, I don't think that was wise. It's more be honest and just say, if you're not ready to make that decisions, then I think there's certain things that we have to start questioning. Then why are you having babies together? Why are you having
Why are you living
together? Why are you trying to do certain things together? It's like they're doing all the things that they need to do, and then they forget, we now need to get married. And I think this is another thing where, like, I'll give advice to ladies. It's like, ladies, sometimes be aware. Sometimes you give your energy, your time, everything to this man, and then this man is not showing any commitment to you to the point of where now you're just like, you're in a relationship where you're just like, where's the commitment?
It's just you. And then he spent all this time engaging you.
Yeah.
Name it's another girl. He didn't take long.
And I think these are the things that we're saying. Look, this is what we're saying. People need to have a level of commitment to one another. And that commitment is something, one, in scripture we feel that that's God honoring. And that is something that only God acknowledges. So these relationships that you're basically trying to do, if they're not going to a particular direction, these are things that you need to check and be able to understand that we need to do them from a godly perspective. We're trying to now speak into a show which we clearly see there's no aspect of understanding godly principles.
Yeah.
So they're doing it in a way that they want to do. But with that, we're seeing that's another reason why there are also some of these challenges.
Yeah.
But we're not saying there are no challenges also in godly marriages. We're not saying that. We're just saying that they don't have a plan of how to address these things. And I think when the conversation continued to go on further, we saw that Tang was saying, look, there are certain things that I feel are challenges, especially when he talked about his mom. And he also feels like he's been drawn so much into Tammy. Is it Tammy? Tammy's family. He feels like her family will be present. And what about my family? And I think with something like that, she needs to be very, very sensitive and understand that, because she's pushing and she's trying to get her way.
Yeah.
And I think with Tang, he's going to, whenever she pushes, he just basically draws back.
Yeah, he said that.
And I think that's what he was trying to say. And I think they had an emotional moment, and I think that was it was a breakthrough. and trying to see how they can address certain things in the future. But it's always wise to say that, look, whenever you people are starting relationships are not easy. You need to count the cost. As you are saying, don't build a house without calculating all the ins and outs of what you need to do to finish that house. And we actually even see that, especially in the culture that we go through. We come from, where people will buy land, people will do ABCD, but they've got no idea of what they're gonna do with that. Some people just keep it there, and if it's not doing anything, it's yours. But what's the point, or something like that? You need to be able to have a plan for whatever you're doing. But this is, I think that the analogy of that is just basically trying to say there needs to be a level of seriousness in whatever we put into whatever we're doing, especially when it comes to the aspect of relationships.
Yeah.
Relationships need to have a direction, because with time, as time goes on, there becomes a level of where some of that time cannot be taken back.
Yeah.
And I think these are things that we need to constantly look into as you are going through that relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think it's wrong for Tammy asking for more commitment on setting a date. And I think also Tang should also be able to express his opinions on why, but they need to come to a conclusion.
Yeah, definitely.
On how they need to move forward.
No, that's true. Leads us really nicely to the end.
Yeah.
Because I think at the end we get like a chat. We get to see what happened to the couples 2 months later.
Yeah.
And so we can start with Temi and Tang. Unless you had something else you wanted to add. Sorry, babe.
No. Temi and Tang, what happens with them?
Yeah. No, they come back saying, they took the week apart. They realized they wanted to be together. They enjoy each other's company, and they've decided to continue, and they've set a time frame.
Yeah.
They haven't set a date for their wedding, but a time frame for them getting married, which I think is good.
Yeah, which is positive. So we see that therapy has actually helped them.
Mm-hmm.
And then who are the next ones?
Then we have Tunde and Marie. They didn't even come.
Yeah, Tunde and Marie.
They didn't come.
They basically cut it off.
Yeah, they didn't come to the couples 2 months couple review.
Yeah. And I think we saw it after that.
Yeah, definitely. I think because Marie just left.
Yeah.
And that was it. She just said, "No, I'm gonna focus on me."
Yeah.
And yes.
Yeah.
And then we have Anna and Lucky.
Yeah, Anna and Lucky also didn't make it.
Yeah, they came, but they both said they don't think it is the right time to be in a relationship with each other.
Yeah. And I think that was wise, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. There was too much going on.
Oh, yeah. And I think it was a very toxic relationship where when they started doing the tit for tat, that was...
Yeah, you were good. And then tit for tat like that, sometimes, some of us do tit for tat, like, not that it makes it any better, but it's like little things, But
for them, it's intense.
They're big things like, I didn't pick, I don't know. I'm not removing the cup from the table. Or she let her be mad. Or I don't know what I do to annoy you.
Yeah.
But nothing like that. And then what else?
Lauren and Thing come back.
Oh yeah, Lauren and Michael came back, and they'd been working through their things.
Yeah.
Lauren got to meet Michael's family.
That was good.
And they said that Michael has been more open about any issues he might be having.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really good. That was positive actually. I think that might have been our best one, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
We still got Ray and Sean. What about Ray and Sean?
I think she first came by herself and then tried to play like she was.
I was like, oh no.
Yeah. It looked as if they didn't watch this. I think, and then Sean came.
Yes. She was like, I got a new man. Yes, I'm in a new relationship.
Yeah.
And then Sean came.
Yeah, then Sean came. So basically Sean and Ray made it.
Yeah, I liked their chemistry. I feel like therapy has helped them.
It has. It's taken a lot of I think therapy has helped them address some of the challenges that they had.
Yeah.
I think their challenges were really intense.
Yeah.
I hope that going forward, they can at least look at this moment and see some of the things that they had, because Ray's attitude, think was not very pleasant.
Yeah.
And then also sometimes how Sean would behave wasn't very pleasant.
Yeah, it was.
So like,
it wasn't good.
yeah. So them making an effort to actually continue and thinking that therapy did them good. So that was really
that was good. That was really good
to see. Yeah. So yeah, and then so what was your overview of the whole is this a series? No, it's
Season.
Yeah.
I remember I said to you, I feel like I liked the other one more. I feel like it was a bit more intense.
Yeah.
But it was quite nice to see the variety of couples.
Yeah.
Because you got to see the different types of challenges that people might have.
Yeah.
So it was overall it was good. I would say it was good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I think they tried to reenact Tunde and Marie, compared like similarly to the other couple that they had.
Yeah.
Although I don't think they needed to, but it's cool. So I thought it was okay. It was cool. Yeah. What about you?
I think there were a lot of lessons, especially like saying, with the problem we're looking at very worldly way of doing relationships.
Yeah.
And I think there are very levels of dynamics of those relationships on a worldly sense.
Defo.
But I think for us, as we were looking through it, we had to also look at it from a lens of biblical. Yeah. And trying to say, how do these relationships apply to biblical principles out there? And I think we need to be able to address the challenges that they're going through. One that we're saying is because they don't have the right foundation, which is a biblical foundation, we see where the cracks are already. So even when they have these solutions of therapy, it doesn't mean that if you go to therapy, everything will be fixed. You need to have a foundation that is stronger than you guys coming and going to therapy and sitting down and whatever. Your foundation needs to be greater than that. That's why we're saying commitment is something that is key. In all of these relationships, we're seeing there's no level of commitment that is being placed out. These are just boyfriend and girlfriend, and they're either someone is trying to seek commitment and somebody's running away from it, or they're just in a relationship and then they just don't know where they're going. And I think this is why, especially when we're talking to young believers, be careful as you are pursuing relationships.
Absolutely.
Relationships should always be looked from the context of, one, am I ready? Because you don't want to go into a relationship and waste somebody else's time. And I think this is one of the things, because when we're growing up, we were so influenced by TV and everything like that. So that was what raised us. And because it raised us, sometimes there's some relationships we've been in, either even you and me or something, that we've wasted people's time.
Yep.
Because these are people we're not even with.
Yep.
We don't even think about them.
Yep.
And because of that, it now becomes a challenge of certain things that we did in our youthful side are things probably we even regret, and not things that we're proud of. And I think these are certain things for the younger generation, especially who are not married. Always look at those things.
Absolutely.
And then also to the married, you also have to understand, like, look, it doesn't mean that you're married now everything is all secure. It also means that marriage means there has to be a level of continuous commitment. A level of always trying to see how you can grow, how you can see how God can help you through those challenges as you are going day in and day out. And the covenant that you have with one another is not just between you and that person, it's also between you and God. And those things will, if your God is the center of your relationship, you can weather any storm. There's no storm that is too big that can separate you from the relationship that God has brought you together in.
Absolutely.
And I think, it may mean that you may have to go and seek for counsel, wisdom from other people, prayer and everything when you're going through challenges. But those things should be good to help you refocus both of you on what the mission is. And the mission is to live for the glory of God in your relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that's the encouragement I'll give as we that we can learn from these relationships. So as we have been entertained, but we also have to be discerning. And the discerning part is how can we apply biblical knowledge to a show that is very secular, and we can say this is what Scripture is trying to teach us, and Scripture is trying to show anything that is built on sand will always crumble. We have to build our whatever we're building, we have to build it on the rock, and that's the Lord Jesus Christ.
Amen.
So yeah, anything you want to add?
No, that's perfect.
Okay, so that's the end of our review.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll pick another show to review. And thank you very much for joining us in our review. As we always say, like, comment, subscribe, and
share.
And thank you for taking the time. And we're really grateful if you've come to this point and you've listened to the whole podcast that we've been putting out. Truly grateful for supporting us and taking the time to listen to our thoughts. So until next time,
bye from us.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.